Judge orders a local mother accused of murdering her young son to have mental health evaluations. Brittany Gosney will undergo exams to see if she's competent to stand trial and if she was sane at the time of the crime. Her attorney questioned her competency in a recent court filing as part of a bid to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. Gosney is accused of trying to abandon her 3 children last month at Rush Run Park in Preble County. Police say her 6-year-old son, James Hutchinson, was run over trying to get back into her minivan. Gosney and her boyfriend, James Hamilton, are accused of dumping the little boy's body in the Ohio River. It still has not been found. And search crews tell us today because the river remains high, divers are not likely to get back into the water this week.
Welcome, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's Monday was merciful, to say the least. I see a lot of names in here that I recognize. That's always good to see. Hello, Marguerite. It's been a while. Emerson Blue, always good to see you. Nicole H, welcome to the team. Mom 2 slot 7, Katie K, Jilly Bean, Twisted Tea, Twyla, St. Elmo's Fire, Mrs. R&B, Jemin Nikki, Lena Christie, Joanna, Phantasmagorical, good to see ya. Leisha, hello. Road King 01, Ashface, A Gramsy Life, always welcome. It's always good to see you. Mallory Doyle, Sam B, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Dizzy Lizzie, The Daily Cloud, Amanda Reed, Little Red Y'all, it's good to see you. Cynthia Holton, The Frilly Farmhouse. Well, look where we're at, guys. Look where we're at, right? When on the road to justice for little Hutch, little baby James Hutchinson, 6 years old. When it comes to the road to justice, well, there's always going to be a stalling tactic by the defense. Always. Now, this is a public defender. This is one of those times where, I don't know nothing about being a lawyer. You know what I mean? I don't know anything about being a lawyer. All I know is when you think of an attorney with the experience to have a private practice versus an attorney who's a public defender and just deals with cases in and out, doesn't have the luxury of putting themselves very personally involved, very emotionally involved, which, of course, in theory, being a lawyer, I would think that you don't want to do that much at all, but I feel like to some degree you actually have to care. And this is looking like it's one of those yes, I shaved my beard off. I do that from time to time. It's not I grow out a beard for looks there, Lena Christie. It's that I just get too lazy to shave. I just don't care. And then I get tired of having a bunch of hair on my face, and then I just cut it all off. But anyway, hold on 1 second. It's crackling. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix the sound. Give me a second. Maybe. Is that better, guys? Is that better? Type 1 if you still hear crackling. Type 2 if it's better. Oh, it's still okay. I don't know what's going on, man. Let me see. Let me try something else. Let me try something else. Guys, there's always something lately. I don't know what it is. What about now? Is it better now? Do you still hear crackling? No, I think that I think that I did something. Hold on. What about what about now? Is that better? Talk, talk. Amanda reads like talk. I don't know yet. Talk. Okay, cool. All right, it's better. I tried something different in my sound because there were certain things that bothered me about it. And so I guess I made it worse. I can't hear it on my end, so I'm glad you guys are there to let me know. Anyway, so you know, so James Hutchinson, 6 years old, is presumed dead because his mother, Brittany Gosney, confessed to under the I want to say uh, the suggestion, for lack of a better term, from her boyfriend, um, James Hamilton, to abandon these kids, all three of them, and the ages of those kids, real quick. Sorry. 9, 7, and 6, and little Hutch being 6 years old, being the 6-year-old. Now, that's something that I find fascinating, because the story that she gives is that she took them to a spot where she's taken them fishing before, and she gets in the car and starts the car after she gets everybody out of the car, and little Hutch, being the youngest one, grabs onto the door handle and doesn't let go while she takes off, apparently running him over in the process. I mean, this little kid jumps and hangs onto the car like a Marvel superhero or something, and she runs him over. Now, here's the thing: we heard her say in her, I guess it was her preliminary hearing, that she has a learning disability and doesn't fully understand when her rights are being explained to her. That could be an issue. That could be an issue. If you can't understand your rights, I don't know what happens then. To me, uh, that's some sort of argument. I mean, if you don't understand your rights, then something's wrong there. Something, but being having a learning disability, I just don't see having a learning disability being a defense. And so um, now we've got this woman doing what Letitia Stock did, and now she's pleading insanity, and she's getting an evaluation, which, if I remember correctly, for Letitia Stock, I think it took 2 weeks for the evaluation, and then she went and got another one. Both of them, both times, she is proven competent to stand trial. Now, there's real quick, there's also this little clip here I'll play for you guys, which I find pretty interesting. All right.
Legal experts say the local woman accused of killing her son and throwing his body in the river faces a big challenge to use an insanity defense. We told you yesterday that Brittany Gosney's attorney has entered a motion to plead not guilty by reason of insanity. The Middletown woman is accused of running over 6-year-old James Hutchinson when she tried to abandon him in a park. Gosney and her boyfriend James Hamilton are accused of dumping the child's body.
She would have to show that at the time of the act, the disappearance of this child, that she did not know the wrongfulness of her actions.
Gosney and her boyfriend James Hamilton are both due in court Monday. Crews say they will continue searching the river for the boy's body when it's safe. And the Butler County prosecutor Mike Mosier says the case will move forward with or without the body of James.
Now, when you hear that prosecutor say that, I don't know about you, but it gives me the indication that they probably have more. They probably have more evidence than we know of. Because I mean, here's where I get stuck. Again, man, I don't know the law, but when you have the fact that Brittany Gosney took authorities to the park where this supposedly took place, according to her confession, they didn't find any evidence of it. They didn't find any evidence to indicate that this took place there. So that bothers me. But the whole thing is we still don't know what evidence they have. Maybe they don't have any evidence there, but they definitely, hey, what's up, Siren Jag? And thank you for that. I saw that come through. Appreciate it. They don't have anything, at least at the scene, but we don't know what they have. We haven't seen the arrest affidavit, so we don't know what the arrest affidavit states necessarily as far as what evidence they have, because I'm pretty sure, again, I'm not a lawyer, don't know anything about the law, but I'm pretty sure that it's only fair and correct that the prosecution, or I'm sorry, the defense knows what kind of case they have against them so that they could properly defend themselves. I feel like that's their right. It's her right to know what they plan on using to convict her. I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like in theory it would be. So yeah, I mean, but the thing is they're not saying, well, you don't have a body. So, because that's what's going on in the Joe Clyde Daniels case, is they're basically saying, well, you don't have a body, you don't have anything, you don't have any blood, you don't have anything. So we're just going to say no murder charge. How can you charge us with murder when you don't even know that a murder took place? And I'm recanting my confession in the first place, because my confession doesn't even make sense. If he beat this child, and I'm talking about Joe Clyde Daniels, I'm going to get back to little Hutch in a minute, but if you beat this child to death, literally, in your house, there's going to be blood somewhere. There's going to be blood somewhere, but there's no blood. So this is mind-boggling to me. I have no idea what to expect from that case. But with this one, since they're saying, well, we threw his body in the river, well, she could recant her statement. Her lawyer could sit there and go, well, they don't have a body. If we're going to fight this and this is going to trial, that seems a little bit more, that seems a little bit more plausible, considering that when it comes to, like this attorney said, in order to convince a jury or convince a judge that you were insane at the time, because she has to prove that she was insane at the time of the crime and she's too incompetent to stand trial. So if she talks about how she's, she describes the crime happening, I mean, I'm only speculating here. But what if that's her whole master plan here? What if that's the defense's master plan here? What if, since they didn't find any evidence, she's going to say she doesn't know reality from fantasy, and that's where she swears it took place, but they can't find any evidence of it. And then I'm her defense attorney. I go, Your Honor, my client clearly has no idea where the hell she even is right now, where the hell she was at the time. How can you say that she's competent and was, and she knew what she was doing was wrong if we don't even know that she did any wrongdoing, because we don't have any evidence of it? We only have her word. Her word means shit if she's incompetent, right? So that's a scary thought. To me, that's an extremely scary thought, that this guy can twist, because he's already saying, I can't even talk to my client. He's already said in emotion, he's like, I can't even communicate with my client. So if she just sits there and plays dumb this whole time, if she manages to just sit there and play dumb this whole time, well, how can the defense spin that? Can the defense spin that? I mean, can a good lawyer, in theory, a really good attorney? Now, this guy is just a public defender, but who knows? Maybe he's brilliant. So can a brilliant defense attorney spin that and just be like, well, she's not competent to stand trial? Right, Joanna, exactly. It's super frustrating. Just the thought of that is super frustrating, that somebody could just sit up there and play dumb and it might actually get them off. But the thing is, it's a risk, because as I was saying before, I feel like that's still an admission of guilt in some way, shape, or form. But here's the thing, is where that gets canceled out is if that's an admission of guilt, saying that I was insane. Well, then they go, well, she has to prove this and that she doesn't know reality from fantasy, right? She's got to prove that. But how does she actually have to if they have no evidence of an actual crime other than the child missing? Because that's all that's happening right now, is this child is missing, but yet she's charged with murder. Here's what I think. You know what I think? I don't think that it's totally crazy, considering what we know so far. Now, hear me out. This is a long shot. But is it so much? Is it so much? But I feel that it's fair to entertain the possibility that the boyfriend, James Hamilton, actually killed little Hutch in a completely different scenario. He gets her to take the rap for it, right? He gets her to take the rap for it, and he tells her, all you got to do is stonewall him. Tell him you don't understand nothing. Say you're stupid. This guy's been to prison before. This guy knows the law. From that aspect of it, from that perspective of being on the shit end of it, he knows. He's been there, right? So, is that crazy to think of that as a possibility? That this dude did it? And he's so dominant towards her, and she's so submissive. I mean, if she's willing to abandon her kids just because this asshole says so, why wouldn't she be willing to take a murder rap for him if he convinces her that she could beat it? Because A, you didn't even do it. How can they convict you of something you didn't even do? right? If he's sitting there, I'm picturing this manipulative motherfucker in her face talking about, well, if you didn't do it, then you don't have anything to worry about. But you go up there and say you did it and then stonewall him and not say jack shit ever, no matter what. Don't ever open your mouth. And they gotta let you go eventually. You gotta sit in jail for a while. We both do. I mean, is that so? Type of 1, if you think that's a possibility that's worth exploring. Type of 2, if you think it's absolutely ridiculous and absolutely no way that that's the case. And type of 3, if you feel like, you know, that's probably absolutely what happened. Yeah, so I mean, all right, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy. Yeah, I mean, how did he die? Here's the thing is we don't have anything. We don't know what the kids saw. We don't know what they've experienced, right? The 7 and the 9-year-old, we don't know. We don't even know if they're boys, girls, nothing. We don't know anything about them. So we don't know what they've told the police. We don't know anything regarding them. For all we know, this kid was locked in that room for an extended period of time and starved to death, for all we know. For all we know, he was beaten to death. The way that Joe Clyde Daniels was allegedly beaten to death. For all we know, anything could have happened to this boy. One boy, one girl. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. I'm sure the police interviewed them, Lauren Ziegler, but I seriously doubt that we're going to have access to that police interview. These are minors. You know, they don't release that type of information. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, Margaret Rainey. I'm thinking that they probably searched the property pretty thoroughly and found enough to find some sort of sign of enough evidence to charge him with murder and then go to trial with it because they feel like they can convict. Yeah, we don't have any of those details. None of those details have been made public yet, Road King. So this is the thing. This is what we're up here doing is we're speculating a lot because we have a lot that's missing that leaves us a lot of room to speculate on. Who towed the minivan, Nicole H? I mean, I see this. Yeah, but I see this as just stalling, dude. You know, this is just stalling the inevitable. But I don't think that this case, well, from what we know so far, which is very little, I don't know if this case is as cut and dry as what Letitia Stock's case against her seems like. I don't know. Well, Sammy Smith, yeah, every angle should be looked into, but I mean, it's not our place to do that. This is just, you know, it's a YouTube channel where we just talk about this stuff, you know. It's nothing other than that. Us talking about it's not going to make any difference. Because again, we have to assume that we don't have access to any of these documents. We don't have access to the arrest affidavit, anything. So obviously everyone involved in the case knows a lot more than we do. So what we're doing here is just speculating as to what happens, and then we'll find out when, you know, the trial starts. But now we got to wait another, like, God knows how long, however long it takes her to be evaluated. Right. Margaret Rainey, I agree with you, but I agree with you to a certain extent, because where, you know, the justice system doesn't always work in the favor of how we want it to. Like, there's going to be times, if you know, you look at the Casey Anthony case, where there's a person that we know with all our heart that person is guilty. We know it. We're looking at Casey Anthony. Everybody in America is looking at Casey Anthony and going, she fucking did that shit. And then when she's found not guilty, we're like, oh my God. And of course we are. Of course we are. But we have a justice system where the burden of proof is on the prosecution. And if the prosecution fails to do their job better than the defense, well, that's what's going to happen. But I love that I have that fair shake, right? I love that I have that fair shake as a United States citizen. You know, who's going to put up the better argument? The idea is, how can you prove it? And if the prosecution fails to prove it, you know, I mean, because what if that's a loved one of yours? What if a loved one of yours is arrested for a crime that you can't imagine them being capable of doing, and you believe with all your heart that they didn't do it? There's nothing about them to indicate that your loved one is capable of a crime like this. Aren't you going to take anything you can get if they end up going to trial and then they're found not guilty? Even if it's a fucking technicality, you're going to tell me you're not going to be like, yes, justice system at work. You know what I mean? So you can't cherry pick. You can't cherry pick. That's how things are. And we got to be grateful for due process in our justice system, no matter if it fails from time to time or it doesn't. It wouldn't be perfect if it never failed. Because the thing is there's no way that it's never going to fail. Because either it's going to fail and a guilty person walks, and sometimes it's going to fail where an innocent person gets convicted. That should never happen, in my opinion. That should absolutely never happen. Because when an innocent person, I mean, it seems to me like people are trying to just get a conviction rather than searching for the truth. And I would prefer to live in a society where our justice system is focused on finding the truth of a situation rather than winning the case. You know, I don't want to live in a place like that. So, and it does happen from time to time, and it's very, very ugly when it does. But I like that I like what it's based on. Yeah, does it need to be cleaned up? Sure. But I love the idea that it's based on everyone gets a fair shake. You are a human being and you're an American. You deserve a fair shake. And the fact is Casey Anthony, she beat it. She beat it. And it's because the prosecution didn't do their jobs as well as they could have. It's not because her defense attorney was so good. I mean, he was. But I mean, the fact of the matter is they went wild coming up with this whole she was molested by her dad thing. They went wild with it. Made the court a complete and total circus. Made the trial an absolute circus. And the prosecution allowed that to distract them, in my opinion. And then guess what? They missed things that they searched, and they still missed it. But the fact is, Casey Anthony got caught, and she went to court, and all her rights were met. and she's free. Is she free because, you know, she's this diabolical person who managed to beat the system? No. She's a fucking dumb party girl. She's a fucking fireball shot orderer at the bar. Fireball, woo! I want to chase it with a White Claw. That's that's all she is. She's a fucking idiot who wanted to party all the time and didn't want to be a mom. She's not this mastermind. The prosecution just fucked up. Exactly, Joanne, Australia. Exactly. Yeah. Can't sit there. I mean, yeah, you could hate this woman because you know she did what she did, but you can't sit there and act like she masterminded this whole way of getting away with the crime. She barely did anything to do that. Could still smell a dead body in the trunk of her car. Body was located of little Kaylee, not even a mile down the road. I mean, like, that is clearly the prosecution's fault. But I love living in a country where that can happen. You know, it's, but this is, you know, it's the people's job to decide your fate, decide where they want you. When you fuck up like that, you kill somebody, you even break the law in any way, shape, or form. The people have a right to decide what happens to you for it, because it's something that affects us all. I got to be around you. I might run into you at the store. Maybe I don't want to run into a murderer at the store. So the people have a right to put your ass away. But the people better do their job right. The people who are educated and in a position to do this better do it. But if they fail to do it, it's on them. That's life, man. That's life. That's America. In America, you're going to hear things that you don't like. You're going to see things that you don't like. But as Americans, my personal opinion is you focus on the things that actually affect you directly. Those are the things you should try to make change for. Things that could affect you directly. Because I don't see how Pepe Le Pew is affecting anybody directly. I just don't see that. You know what I'm saying? So, but the fact of the matter is, man, we got a justice system where how are we going to handle that? Think about it. How are we going to handle it? Let's say the day comes where this woman, Gosney, is standing there waiting for a jury to come back with a decision, and she's found not guilty by reason of insanity because she just stood there, stonewalled everybody, and played dumb the whole time. There is such a thing as backward justice. And here's the thing is I can't sit here and say that I support backward justice while saying that I support due process and our justice system. Can't say that. Our justice system is a civilized manner for us to handle these situations. Now, here's the thing, though. I'm not for backwoods justice, but when it comes to somebody who hurts their child, I'm the kind of guy that's more like, well, so be it. People are going to be people, man. That's going to happen. You're going to have people who feel that strongly about people who hurt their own kids or hurt any kids. Would I do that? No. I'm to a certain degree a civilized human being. So I make an effort to try to be civil in my actions. But I know not everybody's civil. And I know you don't have to necessarily be civil to be affected by bad things in a negative manner. So if it happens, so be it. You know, put it this way, man. If I don't want to get, whatever, killed by a vigilante, well, you know what, man? By a vigilante who is set off by someone who hurts kids. Well, then I'm not going to hurt kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. I mean, if you do some heinous shit like that, you got to expect something coming at you. You can't be shocked and call yourself a victim when the universe hands you that smackdown when it happens. I mean, it's whatever. Would I have preferred to see this person see their day in court? Absolutely. But I'm not shedding a tear. That's not happening. I'm not shedding a tear if somebody does what they do. Dude, can you imagine what it's like to be Casey Anthony today? I mean, I don't know. I guess it's not as bad for her as we all imagine. Because I imagine a woman who, no matter what town she lives in, is going to find her tires flat on a regular basis, her windows smashed out. That's just what I imagine. But apparently that doesn't happen. As a matter of fact, Casey Anthony, the rumor is, the latest, is that she's planning on starting a PI service. I mean, dude, we're totally in the Twilight Zone right now, man. Like, it's crazy. Like, the world is insane right now. Well, that's a rumor, Margaret Rainey. I mean, it's I mean, dude, listen, I'm not going to lie. Margaret Rainey, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be 100% honest with this entire chat. I've never been on trial for my life. Okay. Never been on trial for my life. Not sure exactly what I would do to get decent legal representation if I was in her position. I'm actually not judging her for that. I don't know what I would do. If I ain't got no money and I got a really good lawyer and I'm on trial for my life and I fucking did that shit, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just being real. I'm just being 100%. I don't know what I would do. But I definitely, if I was in that position, I definitely have to start considering my options. I would be entertaining options in my head if I was in that situation. That's all I'm saying. Does anybody want to come up here? I mean, until you're in that situation, people, I don't think you have a right to judge. And I don't think any of us would ever be in that situation. Hopefully not. I'm just saying, till you've been there, don't be throwing stones. Leisha. Leisha's like, it's a service. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. It's a what's wrong with trading a service for service? Is that really? All right, I'm gonna bring Nicole H up. What's up, Nicole?
Hey, what's up, guys?
I appreciate all your help just sending me articles and stuff like that.
Hey, no problem. Did you read the last see the last video I sent you? It was actually like the court hearing from this morning.
I watched it this morning. I just didn't feel the need to play it. You know, it's 8 minutes. Whenever these court hearings go, until it's actually like arguments being made or anything like that, I don't really feel the need to like play those things. It's an 8-minute long thing. They're all going through the rigmarole of everything. And then, okay, well, she's going to be evaluated. We already know that. We got it.
Well, I was more concentrated on her body language. Like, if you notice, like, she was like rocking back and forth. Like, I think it's all I think she's playing it.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
I think Hamilton told her how to react to these charges. Say you're insane and you'll get off. But I think she'll eventually roll. She'll roll in Hamilton or something.
That's what I think too. I mean, dude, jail's not pretty. And if you're not used to jail, you know, you're going to do whatever you can to get the hell out. It sucks. Right. Like, I've never been to prison, but I've spent a night or two in jail, and it's not fun at all. Like, I want out.
Sorry, guys. My boyfriend's in the background making fun of me. Yeah, no, I don't know. But I noticed that he's like not making any kind of, you don't really ever see his face, but like his body language, he's just standing there like, I'm not moving. You know, like, I don't know.
Oh, this is a cold-blooded dude, man. This is not a good dude at all.
I don't think it happened in Preble County. I think she just said that to kind of to steer them away from where it really did happen. Because if I think about it, Preble County is like almost an hour from Middletown. I'm 20 minutes from Middletown.
Okay.
Taking back roads. So Preble County, I'll have to Google it, but Preble is far. And then they drove to Lawrenceburg to dump the body. That just doesn't make any sense. And I know the day that they said that, okay, so how this all started was,
I mean, to throw it in the to throw him in the river makes sense to me.
Right.
It does.
But to drive to Lawrenceburg to do it when you could have just drove straight down to Cincinnati?
Well, so that you can't, I mean, you don't want it near you. You know what I mean? Right. Like at the time, you got to think that they're trying to get away with this. You know?
Right.
So it makes sense to dump it as far away from you as possible. if I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get rid of a body, and then if I'm law enforcement trying to figure out where I would dump the body, where would I look? Well, then I'm going to cancel out the most obvious place and just go someplace that doesn't make any sense. That's just how I feel about it. But at the same time, I do not think I'm not even I'm leaning towards the fact that the idea that he actually did it and he's taking the blame and she's taking the blame. She's this guy, let's face it, considering his record, he's more likely to be the person to commit this crime. Is he not?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at his past history, but
Sure.
I'm thinking too, what are the other kids saying? Because they were there.
I'd love to know what those
Supposedly.
kids are saying. I'd love to know what those kids are saying. Because it's possible that it's possible for all we know that they know where it took place and what happened.
Right.
It's possible, but we just don't know what they know. So these, and when it comes to these kids, it's definitely going to be on the hush because they're minors. You can't put these kids out on blast like that in the public. It's just
they're not going to. Yeah, but I think it will all come out in the trial.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the state's gonna. I think the state has all the evidence that they need.
I think so too. Yeah, and I think based on that is probably why this attorney thinks that. I mean, an insanity plea is like a last ditch effort. It's like, okay, they got enough to put me away for good, so I've got to sit there and act like I smear shit in my hair all day. That's the only way I'm getting away with this. So that's how I'm looking at it. But I don't know.
Unless that attorney is saying, unless she blatantly admitted to the attorney, like, I did this, I killed my kid. And the attorney is like, okay, how about, insanity? We plead insanity and we get you counseling and you go into like the nut ward. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing I could think of that would be
right. Like Letitia Stock's pleading insanity, but it's because, and it's obvious now since she's representing herself, it's obvious that this is what was telling her attorney in the first place. Her attorney was probably saying, you need to fucking cut a deal. And she's going, no, I'm innocent. I did it, but I'm innocent. And so she goes and gets 2 evaluations, not just 1, but 2 evaluations. Right. And then now she's like, attorney, you're fired. I'm representing myself because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So
my question is
but this is a case where I feel like Letitia Stock, it's her idea to plead insanity because she's wacky as it is and crazy enough to think that that'll work. But now this is a case of her attorney saying you're gonna plead insanity. You see what I'm saying?
So, right. But what if, I know we're all just speculating, but what if, crap, what was I gonna say? What if she I don't know, what if she really is insane? I mean, because apparently children's services has been involved. I don't know what county it is. I can't figure it out because they did say it wasn't Butler County, which is the county that Middletown's in. So there was another county children's services that was involved because her oldest child was adopted out. So, and then she had the other 3, and then they lived in a hotel for a while and they were bouncing around in the school district and stuff like that. And then they finally ended up moving into that house. And one of my friends lives right behind him.
Huh.
And one of my friends, he lives right behind the house that this happened at. And he's like, my kids have seen her kids. And it's just crazy. I don't get it. How, and a kid just doesn't up and disappear like without something happening. Do you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
either
Sure.
somebody takes the kid or the kid is injured.
Well, and
But
why
if you,
would she? Yeah, and why would she admit to killing him? You know,
Right.
she admit to running him over with the car, with the minivan. So why
Yep.
would she do that unless they actually did something to him? Nobody's going to confess to a murder if a murder didn't take place. It's just a question:
Right.
is she lying about how the murder took place because they don't have any evidence at the crime scene that she claims it took place at?
I'm wondering if they like drugged him, if he got a hold of like somebody was saying that she was on meth or something, or he was, he was on drugs.
Oh, that dude's a total meth head. That dude's a total meth head. You could just tell.
Yeah. So I wonder if that kid OD'd. And then they just dumped it.
It's possible, but I mean, there's all kinds of there's all kinds of things that could have happened. It's like, honestly, I when it comes to the Joe Clyde Daniels case, I don't think it went down the way that they say it went down. I think that they both planned this murder, and I think that they planned on how they were gonna get away with it.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing I was going to say to you too. I think Hamilton said, "This is what's going to happen to you, or to both of us. Play it this way, and just keep rolling with it." I don't think it's any jailhouse talk at all. I think Hamilton brainwashed her.
I think he might have even done it. But the whole thing, the only reason I don't think that is a really good reason, and it's because he's not charged with it. So law enforcement probably has enough evidence to think that it was her, and that's why she's on trial for it. But we don't know. But I'm not ruling that out as a possibility at all.
And my next question is,
what
they
their
both
dynamic
went to the river to dump the body. Who was staying with the other kids at 3:00 in the morning?
It's a good point.
Okay. And if that person knew, then that person is what's the word I want to use? It starts with a C.
Competent?
Is complicit to a murder.
Complicit, right. I mean, yeah. No, they're both. I mean, yeah. This guy is guilty as shit of at least planning it, and he's definitely involved and he's definitely involved in getting rid of the body. So, I mean, what's going to happen is they're going to throw the book at this guy. No jury is going to let this guy walk. I guarantee you that. And I guarantee you that no judge is going to give this guy a light sentence. He's going to get the max for whatever he's charged with. I'm 99% sure of it. But as far as she goes, this is crazy. This is, I mean, I don't, it could work. It could work.
And I wonder what her expectations are when if she were to get off, does she think she's going to get her kids again? Because she's not. I mean, those kids need to stay away from her.
I don't think she gives a shit.
Yeah,
I mean, this whole thing was started off, according to her, as an attempt to abandon all three of them.
Right.
So she doesn't care.
Yeah.
All she cares about is not going to prison.
Well, you should have dropped your kids off at the fire station.
Something. CPS. I mean, what the fuck?
Take them to a neighbor and say, "I can't handle them anymore. I'm leaving."
Or you take them to CPS, dude.
Yeah.
You straight up take them to CPS and say, "I cannot take care of these children. I'm not fit to. I can't do it."
Right.
That's what you do.
Yep. Man.
I mean, what did they think? Think about that. See, that doesn't even add up. Because, I mean, you got to be real stupid. You got to be real stupid to just abandon a 9, 7, and 6-year-old and not assume that someone's going to see them and ask them questions. Hey, where's your mom? Who's your mom? Where's your dad? Do you have a dad?
Right.
You know, that are you hungry? Sit them down, feed them, and then they're going to tell you everything.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're
Right.
trying to, what makes you think that's not going to come back to them? You're just abandoning kids that can talk? 3 of them?
Yep.
That's your plan? That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, even the stupidest of the stupid is not that stupid.
And then how did those kids sleep that night? Because, after experiencing that sort of trauma, those kids aren't going to be able to sleep.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that those kids went to bed without a fight. They're probably thinking, are they going to do that to me next?
well, I mean, but they're kids, though. For all we know, this guy is a complete and total abusive piece of shit who scared the hell out of them into staying in bed quietly. I mean,
Yeah, but you're going to end up like James.
If it's easy enough for a decent parent to go, hey, no TV tomorrow, or no video game, or no cell phone if you don't go to bed, who's to say this guy can't scare the shit out of these kids into just being petrified?
Right. Middletown police said what the real red flag to them is that they came into the police department together and said the child was missing. Which is super weird. Right. Because usually you would call the police and be like, hey, my kid's missing. And you'd be freaking out, but they came in and they were, my kid's missing, like there was no emotion behind it at all. And even the cop said after she confessed, there was absolutely no remorse. It was like nothing. Like, I did it. I killed my kid. So what?
You see this comment? Evelyn Arnaud says she originally called her sister to take her kids, but the sister wanted her to sign them over to her, and she didn't want to, so she kept the kids.
Yes, that is true.
Okay. That's interesting.
The sister was on the news.
Okay.
And she said that, and then Brittany blocked them all. And then this happened. Blocked her entire family on social media and from calling. And
see, that just indicates more that indicates more of a premeditated murder to me than I mean, you want to take the kids, sign them over to me? No. Well, what do you mean? What the fuck?
Right. Why wouldn't you want to sign them over?
I mean, I get it because like some parents are shitheads where they're just like, take them while it's convenient for me for you to take them, and then when I'm ready for them, I want them back. So she probably has a dynamic with her sister, maybe where her sister's just like, where she's jealous of her sister. Her sister's got her shit together, she doesn't, and then she's like, you're not gonna have this over me too. And you're going to be a good mom, and then I'm going to sign over my kids to you, basically looking at it, instead of looking at it as what's best for the kids, she's looking at it as, this is just one more thing that she'll have over me, my responsible sister over me. You know what I mean?
Right. So or why didn't she just contact the father of James and say, hey,
where is the father? What's the story with the father?
The father lives in Middletown, from what I gathered, and he had no idea that anything was going on like this. But to me, that makes me wonder, what kind of relationship did he have with the kids?
Right. What kind of relationship did he have? What kind of relationship did he have with her? I'm curious about that. I'm curious about what kind of guy this is. I want to know if he's a shitbag like the boyfriend. I mean, does she have a type? You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I'd love to know what the deal is with this guy.
I would too. I'll have to. I don't remember the guy's name. I know that he was on the news talking when they did the visual, and he said, and that was my son. Um, you know, she killed my son.
Right. Yeah. Heartbreaking.
Yeah. Maybe that's true, Mama Bear. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I can't imagine parents like this. Like, I'm someone who can't
Now
have kids.
let's look at that
And
here. So she would not let him see his son, right? She would not let him see his son. If that's the case, because we don't know if that's true or not, but if that's the case, then, you know, if she has enough instinct, let's say on one side of a coin, she has enough instinct to protect her children from him because he's a bad father. Let's assume that for a second, right?
Mhm.
How in the hell is she not competent to stand trial? How is she too insane? You know what I'm saying? So if she's aware of that, she's too dumb. That doesn't make sense. And then
Right.
on the other side of the coin, let's just say that she was smart enough to be manipulative and use the kids against him.
Yep.
Right? So
I'm also familiar with that one.
if that's the case, then why wouldn't that indicate to me the possibility that she's completely and totally full of shit here and trying to manipulate the court system by saying that she's insane? So,
and I think all these people that are personally involved with these people will testify against her. You know, I mean, even like her own family will say, you know, we've offered to take her kids and she wouldn't do it. And, you know, she would have to know right from wrong. I mean, it said on the news that she, or somebody in one of the groups in the group said that she made it to like 8th or 9th grade. I think it was 9th grade. And then she dropped out. But even as a 9th grader, you know right from wrong at that point. So, you know, killing somebody is wrong, regardless if it's your kid or another person, you know that's wrong. So I'm not buying the insanity plea at all. Like,
I'm not buying the insanity plea, even if it took place the way that she said so. That's not insanity.
No.
That's abandoning and then running over a kid because he's holding onto your door handle because you were trying to abandon him.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that is. That's not insanity.
And she knew exactly what a court-appointed attorney is. You know, like, I mean, there's a little bit of common sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know, maybe I'm giving her more credit than deserve. But if she can make decisions,
I mean, I'm calling bullshit on her story. You know, I'm just calling bullshit on it because I mean, this whole time, what I've been doing really is giving her the benefit of the doubt and just saying that her lawyer's trying to spin that she's stupid to that she's, you know, so stupid that it's a mental health disorder that makes her incompetent to stand trial. But I don't think that's the case. I think she knows exactly what's going on. I think she knows exactly what she's doing. I think she knows exactly what's at risk. I think, you know, I think she's completely and totally full of shit. And I think she's trying to play the system. And I think anybody in her situation who is capable of doing what she's done, which is, let's just say, just admitting to trying to abandon her own children, well, they're perfectly capable of manipulating the court system to their favor, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I hope like the reports come back from like the forensic people with the kids, because a forensic therapist will talk to them. And I hope, you know, that will be the puzzle piece that's missing from all of this. And then we'll all have like a huge understanding of, hey, this is what these kids witnessed. mean, maybe they'll go as far into saying, this is what Hamilton would do. I can't say James because like that's the kid's name. This is what Big James would do to little James and us and, whatever. I just, but those kids also may have been told, you don't say a word, who knows?
Yeah, but I mean, again, yeah, that's possible that they'll stay quiet, but law enforcement has people that know how to deal with situations like that and kids of that nature. I mean, can you imagine how many situations like this there are where a child is a witness? So, or the defendant's own child is a witness. Yeah. So I'm sure they have trained people for this that can break this down and try to and get through to them to get them to talk. So I mean this whole thing is I'm not buying any of this. I'm not even buying her saying I've got a learning disability, so I don't really understand what's going on. I think she just wasn't listening. That's what I think. I think she's just not giving a shit about anything that's going on other than, I'm about to go to prison, but she doesn't care what happened to her children. She doesn't care about anything, I don't think.
I just wonder what the population is saying in Butler County in the jail to her. They get TV time. They have to know that this is on the news.
Yeah, I mean, is she like in the general population of the jail? Do we know that? Yeah, because I'm guessing they probably put her in isolation. Anybody accused of what she's accused of is probably going to be put in isolation. You're not just going to have a bunch of mothers, in jail, sleeping in the same place with this person and not expect something to happen. You know what I mean? If you're trying to protect this person so that they do stand trial, well, I seriously doubt you're going to put her in a general population area where somebody could do something to her.
That's true. She might be on total lockdown.
That's especially what I'm
thinking. Especially if she's doing the insanity plea.
But Letitia Stock was in a general area. The only reason that she's in lockdown is because she tried to escape twice. The first time she actually put someone in the hospital was during her extradition, and she actually put a deputy in the hospital trying to escape. And then she goes to jail. And then supposedly she tried to conspire with another inmate on an escape plan. And then that person ratted her out. And so now she's on lockdown. So, but we're talking about a woman who killed an 11-year-old boy. Wasn't even hers. You know how many natural mothers in there fucking probably hate the stepmother out of just sheer jealousy? Yeah. Of their own child. And then you've got a stepmother in here who murdered somebody's natural child, you know what I'm saying? And nothing happened to her in jail. So there's probably not as much of a risk of that happening as we think so. We just assume it, but there's probably not nearly as much of a risk as we're just thinking that there is.
I wonder if Hamilton is in confinement.
I don't know. Yeah. I wonder too.
I know. Let me just tell you this. There was back in 2006, there in Warren County, where I live, there was a little girl named Alyssa. She was 24 months old and she was shaken by her mother's boyfriend. And I knew Paul, like that was the boyfriend. I knew Paul and he went to jail. He was in general population and then he ended up going to prison and he was in general population the whole time. They didn't put him on lockdown. Well, yeah, and he was in there for murdering a baby.
Well, I mean, you're gonna be putting Gen Pop in prison for something like that. Sure. What I'm talking about is I would think that they would isolate the person in jail while they're on trial so that
He
they
wasn't
can get through the
isolated.
trial. Right. No, yeah, that part I get.
Yeah.
But that part is where I'm like, wait a minute, that's weird. But once he's convicted and he goes to prison, well then that's just how that is. I mean, you got child molesters, murderers, rapists, everybody all over the place. Thieves.
Right.
You know, they're all in with each other. But in jail, while they stand trial, I feel like, especially such a high profile case where people are really demanding justice take place here, that I feel like they would isolate the person. Because you got Joe Clyde Daniels Sr. Joe Clyde Daniels Sr., and I think he is on suicide watch. So he's isolated. When you're on suicide watch, you're absolutely you're isolated.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
And the funny, it's not funny, but I say this as like a karma thing. Paul ended up doing his attorney, who's now a judge for Warren County. His attorney back then told Paul, I could win this case, but I'm not going to. So just take this plea deal. He ended up taking a plea deal for manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, and doing 10 years. He gets out, he moves to Kentucky, gets with another woman with a child, and that child ends up at Cincinnati Children's with bruises and broken ribs and bones and everything else, and he's back in prison for child abuse.
I mean,
and I think he's going to end up dead. I mean, somebody's going to kill him.
Probably, you know,
Yeah.
and again,
That's the second
you know,
kid.
due process is due process, and I'm a big fan of it. But also, you know, I don't try to fight the universe and how things happen. You know, if that's what happens to a guy like that, in my eyes, so be it.
Right.
You know, so be it. I'm not going to shed a tear for a guy like that.
Right.
You know, you know. But at the same time, I mean, it's crazy. You don't know the circumstances of a child abuse case, unfortunately. You just don't. But let's face it, if somebody is convicted of child abuse, well, they're probably an abusive person towards children, generally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and should somebody like that get life in prison? You know what I'm saying? So that
Right.
I feel like they should. Personally,
I agree.
you know, if it turns out it's under the circumstance that you're just somebody who can't help but hurt kids because you're just habitually hurting kids, well, then you don't belong in our society, in my personal opinion. You don't get to be in my environment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now granted, I could just not be within the same environment as someone like that if I have the choice, sure, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, should there be a life in prison sentence for someone like that? It's something that should be explored. You know, I'm not saying that that's what I feel. I'm just, you know, thinking out loud here. I don't know.
Yep.
I mean, should people like this get a second chance? You know, I mean, is there a rehabilitation program for someone like this? But see, I don't think that there is when it comes to child molesters. I think that's a sexual preference. And unfortunately, that's not an excuse for what they do, because whether or not it's a sexual preference, they're still victimizing people. A child cannot consent. A child cannot consent. So you're victimizing a child whenever you're doing it. Might be a medical reason why you're doing it, but in my opinion, you should be locked up, you know, or chemically castrated, whatever. I'm not against that either. You know, That's just my opinion.
I don't think that there's any real rehabilitation for that. I think that is something that they're genetically coded by. Like there's
same here. That's what I think too.
You know, like there's a genetic something, or
Now,
it was a pattern that they learned because they themselves were victims.
Well, when it comes to violence towards kids, I think it's more psychological.
Yeah.
possibly, but I'm not a mental health professional in the slightest bit, so I don't know. But there seems to be roots where these things come from, but not when it comes to having a when it comes to sexual stuff. That's, I feel like that's encoded in your DNA, like you said, in some way, shape, or form, and I don't think there's any type of cure for that. Other than fucking fear. Like if you're one of these people and you act on this, we're gonna get you, and you're not gonna get to do that shit at any cost. That's how I feel it should be dealt with. That's how I feel any type of sexual assault towards children should be dealt with, because I don't feel that they're it's an impulse. If you're already, you see how society looks at something like this and you still engage in it, well, then, it's got to be an impulse, something that takes you over, and you somehow go through with it. And people, that type of impulse, I think needs to be put down. It's like putting down an animal that's rabid and wanting to, no matter what they do, they're always going to bite someone or worse. So you put them down. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like I don't know, I was actually driving through the city of Hamilton, which is not far from Middletown either. And I was going to pick up a bed frame, and I was looking at this kid, at little James, and I showed him to my boyfriend, and I was like, he kind of looks like the male version of my friend's daughter. And I was like, his eyes, there's something about his eyes in that picture that, the one where he had the glasses on and his hair's all combed, the school picture. And I kept thinking to myself, this kid is missing. He's dead. Like there was just something about him, and this case just grabbed me. I was like, there's no way that these people, are going to get away with this. There's no way. There's too many people that know them. And the school said he was, and it's funny because the school principal even said James would come to school and give hugs and kisses and stuff like that to everybody. School was his safe zone.
Yeah.
He felt safe there.
Yeah.
And if you watch, like tonight, I saw there was a news clipping on, and I was trying to find it so I could send it to you, where they showed like pictures of him. And there was one picture where he had a black eye, and it was healing. It wasn't like the big black and blue. It was, it was slowly, the bruise was slowly like fading. But I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be more abuse going on than just being abandoned.
Yeah. Chances are. I mean, I feel like it's pretty safe to assume that. Because, what's worse? I don't even know what's worse.
I don't
Abandoning
know. Could it be that this mother was high off of her ass and did this?
Oh, for sure. I see. That's one aspect that I'm willing to put money on, even though I don't know for a fact. But one aspect that I'm willing to put money on is that these two are drug addicts. Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind about that.
Was she high? And is that why she's doing the insanity plea? Like, I was high when it happened.
She can't say that because a judge is going to be like, yeah, right. But, being high is not an excuse to commit murder. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Being drunk or high is not an excuse to do anything. That's a choice you made. You willingly put yourself in that position by getting high or by getting drunk. So therefore, you're responsible for your actions.
Right. See, but that's where that's what I'm kind of trying to say. Well, even if she was high, she made that choice. You know what I mean? She made a choice to do drugs. Right. And then do something to her kid. She's still got to be held accountable for that.
Sure.
Even though she was at that time chemically insane or whatever. because of whatever drug she was on, you still need to be held accountable for what happened to your children. Just like if somebody else did this to your kid, you would want them held accountable. And she flat out said, I killed my kid. I mean, to me, how can she go back and say not guilty by reason of insanity, but then admit to it? Do you understand? Like, how was that? How can the defense go on that?
Right.
Like, she admitted to the cops that she did this.
Right.
That's all they needed was, that's it. There was a confession.
But it's not that simple. It's not that simple because she confessed, but they found no evidence to back her confession. You see what I'm saying? The same thing's going on with the Joe Clyde Daniels case. The father confessed, but there's no evidence to indicate that the scenario took place the way that he describes it. So that's where we get a hang up. So her word means nothing now. Her word doesn't mean anything. And I wonder if that could help with her insanity. Well, she didn't know what the hell she was talking about. You guys investigated yourselves. If I'm her attorney, then I'm going law enforcement. You investigated yourselves behind her claims. And did you find anything? No. So my client clearly doesn't even know where the hell she is or what the hell's going on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but I feel like that's a possibility that they're going to try to go with that.
I think but if she goes for the evaluation and it comes back that she is competent, she just blew her entire defense.
Right.
Like, completely blew it. So,
I mean, right. Yeah. I mean, because exactly. It's such a gamble because if it turns out that she is competent to stand trial, then, she's fucked. She's absolutely fucked because like I said, like you said, I feel like the prosecution probably has a lot more evidence that we're just not aware of. A lot of evidence that absolutely indicate that a murder took place. So all we know, we're not saying that they don't have any evidence. What I'm saying, what we know is that they didn't find any evidence at the place that she took them to where she said the crime took place. See what I'm saying? So, but we don't know if they collected evidence that a crime took place elsewhere yet. We don't know.
Hold on. I'm going to ask my boyfriend where Preble County is.
Preble County is out past Eastgate, past Mount Orb.
So it's like over by your cousin.
Yeah, it's way out east, way out or northeast.
Okay, so how long is it from Middletown to Preble County?
Oh, about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive.
So why would she drive almost 2 hours to abandon her kids? Did you hear me?
Well, to abandon them. You know what I mean? I mean, for the exact reason why I said that, what were they thinking? I mean, they dropped off 3 kids who are verbal that can talk, so, they're going to say who their parents are, but they're going to have a harder time finding out who they are if they're 2 hours away. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be harder to identify who the parents are. Who knows how articulate these kids are? They're probably not very articulate at all for all we know.
Yeah, that's true.
So
they could draw pictures of what happened.
Sure. But that's what I'm saying is, to me, that makes sense to drop them off 2 hours away to abandon them.
There's got to be DNA evidence. If she ran him over, there's got to be DNA evidence on the tires of the car or the bottom of the car.
Something. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. We just don't know what they have.
Because they towed the vehicle that Sunday when they reported him missing. And that's when it turned into, oh, I killed my kid.
Right.
That's when it turned into this. So they towed that vehicle. So there's DNA in the vehicle.
maybe they found something on the vehicle and then said, "You're not telling us everything. We have this. So either if you come clean now, then we'll, things will go a lot easier for you." Maybe that's how the questioning went down. They had something, and then they were like, "This is what we have," So who knows? We don't know. But I mean,
I also know it rained Saturday night into Sunday. It was pouring rain.
Right.
Up here. So even if there was evidence, it's probably not going to be there anymore. I mean, it was like downpours. It wasn't just, like a little rain shower. It was, there was like flooding and stuff. I mean, so I'm curious if that would have gotten rid of any kind of evidence too. And then to think about, did they plan it because it was raining and they knew that there wouldn't be any evidence for the cops? Like if we go back to the whole premeditated thing, like, were they executing this almost to the T so they know that they would end up getting off?
I mean, they might be that smart. Who knows? They might be. I mean, I don't know.
And I think this is their way. If they prove that I'll finish this and then I'll let you have somebody else on. If they prove, if they have no evidence, they can actually turn around and sue the state for keeping them in jail. So this is probably their get rich scheme.
I mean, that's a possibility too. I mean, I think right now they're mostly focused on getting away with murder. I'd say that's probably what's consuming their thoughts right now. Because if that's what I'm facing, that's what I'm focused on solely, so that it happens. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you sharing articles with me too. You've been real helpful. Yeah, I'm gonna let you off, and then I'm gonna close this out. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too. All right. That was Nicole H. She's a very, very, very nice person. Very, very insightful. And has been sending me articles and keeping me. Most of the time, I'm already aware of some of the stuff, but she's very, very supportive of trying to keep me informed because she knows that I'm covering this. And she's doing great, being helpful. So that's why I added her to the team. So I hope she enjoys having the responsibility of being a wrench. But guys, I really appreciate everybody coming on here and contributing to the chat. Everybody who sent PayPals, thank you guys so much for the support. And for those of you who have shared this, I really appreciate it. But yeah, anything moving forward, I'm going to be sure to keep you guys posted. Okay. A lot of cases to talk about, but I'm going to call it. And I love you guys, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.